the annual session of the Executive Board of UNDP, UNFPA and UNOPS, and continue with the UNDP segment, item number 8, evaluation. So we have a new setting up here. We have, for once, we have Mr. Magdi Martinez Soliman, Assistant Administrator, and we also have Simona from the same department, from UNDP, and then from the Evaluation Department we have Mr. Indra Naidu, the Director, and we have Mr. Arild Hauge from the Deputy from the Director's Office, and a couple more, I understand. Welcome. We will start with the annual report on the evaluation 2016 and management commentaries, comments to that. So I'll start to give the floor to Mr. Naidu to introduce the report. You have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates, UNDP management, Mr. Magdi Soliman, and colleagues from UNDP. It gives me great pleasure to present the 2016 annual report on evaluation to the UNDP Executive Board and His Excellency Ambassador Ib Peterson. This is the first report along lines of the Evaluation Policy 2016. The report reflects on some of the fundamental changes made since 2012 when the office was professionalized, summarizes 2016 outputs and activities, and tables a program of work for 2017. It also outlines the strengthened oversight structure of the IEO as it moves to independence under the policy, and outlines the organizational changes undertaken within the office for this policy goal. The report outlines how IEO supported capacity development globally and details the new approach to supporting decentralized evaluation as both assessor of the function and supporter where deemed necessary through collaborative work. Independence and oversight of IEO. The new evaluation policy ensures and embeds evaluation and independence as a learning and accountability approach within UNDP. IEO is also given a strong set of governance arrangements to oversee and support the work of the office. 2016 was a milestone, with the IEO also presenting its work to the newly expanded Audit and Evaluation Advisory Committee, which have integrated the oversight function and provides a coherent approach to oversight for UNDP. Specifically, the AEAC advises the Director on IEO and the Administrator on responsibilities under the policy, and the support has been appreciated by IEO. The role of the International Evaluation Advisory Panel is further underlined in the policy, and the IEAP and its 12 members were active throughout 2016 in advising and supporting the work of the office, both in its structural reorganization and strengthening, as well as in the completion of thematic and country-level evaluations, as well as other work. The panel is now fully representative of all geographic regions and brings in formidable experience and expertise to inform UNDP evaluations. During 2016, IEO also began drafting a charter for engaging with headquarter, regional, and country offices, outlining expectations and responsibilities for all parties to the preparation, implementation, completion, and reporting of evaluations. To ensure the independence and scope of evaluations is not constrained or limited, evaluation budgets need to be assured. The new evaluation policy recognizes this and embeds a combined budget for independent and decentralized evaluation of 1% of UNDP's core and non-core financing for evaluation function, of which a minimum of 0.2% goes to the IEO. This reflects that evaluations are a unique service to the entire organization, with funds expected and earmarked from the entire UNDP budget. The matter becomes more important as non-core funding now is more than core, and the voice and expectations of this constituency needs to be acknowledged. More critically, it is a directive by UNDP donors and member states who require assurance that the funds they allocate are well spent and deliver proposed results. UNDP as evaluant needs to comply with the policy and board decisions on this fundamental aspect of accountability to the board, which IEO serves and is entrenched in its direct reporting and accountability lines. The board thus not only approves the costed program of work, but also the budget, and UNDP needs to implement this as evaluant. However, 2016 saw expenditures on evaluation fall far short of this benchmark, only reaching 0.44%, with a delivery of $19,854,000 for combined evaluation activities of IEO, regions, and country offices. The 0.2% benchmark for IEO component fell short by $600,000. The shortfalls need to be addressed to ensure that UNDP meets its accountability obligations to the board and program countries who fund operations across the globe, and any ambiguity in terms of where decisions on the matter reside needs to be addressed by this board. In considering UNDP's responsiveness to the board decision on resource allocations to evaluation, I would like to strongly caution against making miscellaneous monitoring expenditures permissible, not because they are not important, but because they are something else than evaluation. Independent evaluations in 2016. Thematic evaluations undertook in 2016 included, firstly, an evaluation of UNDP's contribution to anti-corruption and addressing the drivers of corruption, and the organization's support for disability-inclusive development, both of which were presented to the board in January 2017. Also, in 2016, UNDP and OAI undertook the first joint evaluation looking at UNDP's institutional effectiveness, which is being presented to the board today. IEO also took the June board meeting as an opportunity to informally deliver its first set of findings from the comprehensive evaluations of UNDP's 2014 to 2017 strategic plan, global and regional programs. This will be formally presented in September 2017. The IEO has significantly refined its methodologies for thematic evaluations to include more engagement with UNDP business units and stakeholders, increased sample sizes and dedicated attention to making reports more accessible. Illustrated summaries and videos that accompany the main reports have proven successful in communicating major findings and recommendations to a range of audiences, strengthening adoption and overall impact. In 2016, IEO successfully completed independent country program evaluations, or ICPE, for 6 countries: Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Jordan, Kyrgyzstan, Mexico, and Pakistan. The findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the 2016 ICPs have all received detailed management responses from country officers with detailed sets of key actions to ensure improvement and lessons are learnt. The ICPs also supported the country officers in their CPD submissions to the board in 2017 and 2018. As IEO moves to full coverage of countries presenting CPDs in each year, the office is finalizing new approaches to ensure this growth in demand for ICPs is met with the same rigor and level of quality expected of IEO's ICPEs. The restructuring in the office, as well as recruitment of new staff, will go some way to addressing these needs, but challenges will still be seen, especially when the number of CPDs presented to the board in one year is high. Capacity development support. IEO and of UNDP continue to fund the Secretariat of the United Nations Evaluation Group, our professional network, and IEO was very active in the revision of the norms and standards and other materials produced by this group. The IEO director continued to act as UNEG vice chair, responsible for defining UNEG role in the follow-up and implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The office continued to work to further its engagement, capacity development, and push for the professionalization of evaluations through its work with numerous global and regional organizations to support and continue the work of NEC 2015 on evaluation and Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. Following successful global conferences on national evaluation capacity in Morocco in 2009, South Africa 2011, Brazil 2013, and Thailand in 2015, I would like to hereby officially announce that the next in this series will be held in collaboration with the Turkish government in Istanbul during the week of the 16th to the 20th October. Support to decentralized evaluations. 2016 saw considerable engagement by IEO with UNDP, regional and country offices, to support the strengthening of the evaluation function at the decentralized level. Most engagements outlined to the board in previous years have now started and will continue through 2017 and into 2018, many in partnership with DIG BPPS where appropriate. IEO reviewed all decentralized evaluations undertaken in 2016, finding 27% to be of a satisfactory level, with a further 45% being moderately satisfactory. IEO has also partnered with DIG BPPS to undertake several regional workshops with UNDP's M&E focal points to review evaluation plans, budgets, as well as the implementation issues to identify their needs. A major issue that is often raised is the lack of clear guidance for evaluation plans, as well as the need for clarity in budgeting for evaluations. These lessons will strongly inform the revision of the evaluation guidelines that is about to start in partnership with DIG BPPS. IEO is concerned that there has been a considerable decrease in the number and budgets for decentralized evaluations between 2013 and 2016, with a decrease of some 34% in the number of evaluations and 19% in budgets assigned. Along with this decline, there is also an increasing shift in the structure of evaluation plans, with increasingly mandatory evaluations, such as the JEF-TE, outcome and UNDP evaluations making up the majority and in some cases only evaluations. However, 2017 sees a considerable increase in the number of evaluations being planned and budgets assigned, from 256 evaluations in 2016 to 505 in 2017 and 7.7 million in 2016 to almost $16 million. IEO will monitor this with interest and will liaise with regional focal points to ensure the plans are implemented and the quality of evaluations is maintained. Schedule of work going forward. As we shortly conclude our evaluation of the 2014-2017 UNDP strategic plan, the IEO will consult with the new UNDP administrator and the executive board to identify priority thematic evaluations for the 2018 to 2021 cycle. We also further commit to a regular series of corporate reports to the board, starting with a review of the quality assessment process of decentralized evaluations, a review of implementation of IEO recommendations for both thematic and country-level evaluations, and a synthesis of independent country-level evaluations and their findings. As the work of the office expands to include the full cohort of independent country program evaluations, as well as expanded reporting to the executive board, through corporate and thematic reports, a restructuring has been undertaken within the office and 7 new TA temporary appointment positions secured, taking the office to 30 professional staff and support. To ensure the planned growth and expansion of evaluations continues to meet the quality expected by IEO, UNDP, and the executive board. IEO has asked for a budget of $10.2 million to meet the goals laid out under the plan for 2017 and in order to meet its commitment under the evaluation policy. At this point, I would like to end and thank the board for its continued support to evaluation across UNDP and within IEO, and also to thank UNDP for the support over the past year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naidu, for that presentation. And now I'll give the floor to Magdi for presenting management response.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On behalf of UNDP senior management, I would like to thank the director of the IEO, Mr. Naidu, and his team for the work conducted in 2016 and for depicting it so eloquently in the report he has just presented to the board. Similar to previous annual sessions, we will take the opportunity to provide an update on the measures taken to improve the quality of decentralized evaluation function, which is our duty before the board. I will specifically refer to the performance of the decentralized evaluation function, the progress achieved in implementing the UNDP strategy on decentralized evaluation and the priorities for 2017 based on the joint action plan between UNDP and the Independent Evaluation Office presented to the Executive Board in January this year. We believe that 4 factors greatly influence the quality of decentralized evaluations: the quality of programs and projects, of course, the evaluant material, the quality of monitoring and evaluation capacities, the quality of guidelines that preside over the work and the quality of the processes, and of course the quality of the evaluators. Identifying these factors has helped us develop better and more targeted efforts to address some of the shortcomings that we have identified together over the last 3 years. I'm pleased to share with you a series of key achievements for 2016, which we believe confirm our commitment to growing professionalization of the evaluation function that we're responsible for. We first note with satisfaction that 73% of the country offices met the prescriptive benchmarks for monitoring and evaluation capacities, totaling 137 staff in 2016. This indicates a steady increase when comparing to 2014, where we only met the threshold 46%. 2015, we were at 54%. So I repeat, 73% of country offices meet the benchmarks of capacities. Compliance is much better even. The compliance with management response requirement is at 98%. So all evaluations are accompanied by a management response, short of that 2%, compared to 86% in 2015. Implementation of management responses similarly improved, with only 12% of actions reported overdue, down from 15% in 2015, 29% in 2014. The ROR continued to capture in 2016 feedback from country offices reflecting on evaluation recommendations and their relevance for future programming. Per data reported, out of 1,532 recommendations given by independent evaluators to project and outcome evaluations in 2016, 40% were considered supported by an evidential basis, credible and practical, action-oriented, and with potential to be used in decision-making, and add to that 38% supported by an evidential basis and credible, but not as relevant, specific, or action-oriented for subsequent follow-up. Consolidating these ratings, it gives us a 78% of evaluations or evaluation recommendations conducted in 2016 that were useful or moderately useful and eminently implementable. IEO concluded in their annual report on evaluation that 75% of the evaluations assessed had been satisfactory or moderately satisfactory, so there's clearly a double check and cross-validation of our respective figures. 2016 ROR data also indicated that 57% of country offices met the UNDP internal benchmark of spending 1 to 3% of program budget on monitoring and evaluation. This figure is slightly lower than in 2014, where we had a 65%, and 2015, 64%. However, the process of data cleaning and validation has become much more thorough, cleaning up some of the miscellaneous spending that Director Naidu just alluded to. Thus, the 2016 figure is considered more accurate. Let me share a few additional results related to M&E capacity development that were achieved in 2016. 38% of our country offices hired short-term external support to provide evaluation expertise. 13% of country offices recruited new UNDP specialized staff to provide evaluation expertise. 34% of country offices strengthened the role of evaluation staff. A third of them provided training for country office staff on conducting or managing high-quality decentralized evaluations. A quarter of our country offices provided training for project staff or national government counterparts on conducting or managing high-quality decentralized evaluations, and 28% of country offices increased budget for decentralized evaluations of their key projects. In terms of funding, the total M&E expenditure in 2016 was of US $50.5 million, which represents 1.13% of UNDP's 4.48 billion expenditure in core and non-core program spending for 2016. The amount includes 42 million spent by country offices and regional bureaus and 8.5 million spent by the IEO. This indicates a slight increase in expenditure from 1.07 in 2015 to 1.13 in 2016. Of the total monitoring and evaluation expenditure outlined above, the total spending on decentralized evaluation alone was 11.4 million, representing 0.25% of UNDP's total expenditure in 2016. This amount includes 1.6 million spent by regional bureaus on staff and evaluations and 9.8 million spent by country offices, up from 0.19% in 2015. So we are, as of 2017, undertaking efforts to secure the 1% threshold for evaluation spending as stated in the new evaluation policy. In conclusion, I would like to highlight that UNDP will continue to invest in the quality of decentralized evaluation while aiming to learn more from our development partners and, of course, from the independent evaluations. During 2017, UNDP and IEO will also review practices and procedures with some very specific targets. One, the ways in which we realize payments to evaluators. We will expand and update the evaluation consultant roster to have a broader choice. We will continue undertaking efforts to strengthen compliance with evaluation plans and implementation of management responses, and we will improve learning. Once again, we welcome the findings and recommendations of Mr. Naidu's annual report on evaluation and the feedback provided by the member states in all our consultations over the year. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for